We are very fortunate to have Mentor Public Schools join us again, as they do every January, to give their State of the School update. And I'm very fortunate to introduce to all of you someone I've had the pleasure of getting to know over the last 6 months or so. Despite he being a Bengals fan, he's a very great superintendent. He's done a really nice job. They're very professional. He spent the last 18 years serving Ohio communities as an educator in the role of superintendent, director of student services and instruction, principal, and as a teacher. Mr. Matthew Miller completed his undergraduate coursework and master's degree at the University of Cincinnati and was selected for the Harvard Graduate School of Education's Leadership Institute for Superintendents. He and his wife, Christy, and their two children are proud residents of Mentor. Mason is a junior at Mentor High School, and Jessica is in 8th grade at Memorial Middle School. We're very glad to have you in our community. Please welcome Matt Miller.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming out on such a pleasant day. But kids are happy today. Kevin was one of the first Mentor residents that I met, Kevin and Cameron, and they took me in sort of right away and got me introduced to some people in the community, so I'll always remember that and thank them for that. Before I get started, I want to recognize a few people that are here from the schools. We have 3 board members here. We have Mary Briner, Al Mihawk, and Tom Tuttle from the school board. Also, Mr. Dan Wilson, the CFO, and I'll mention him in a little bit, but Dan is here as well. And I would be remiss without acknowledging my administrative team sitting over here at the table, who are the kind of the heart and soul of what we do at the administrative building, and who help us get the kids where they need to be. So I could not do it without them. So if you can give them a round of applause, I'd appreciate that as well. And I won't be able to go home tonight without acknowledging my wife, Christy, and daughter, Jessica, as well. So I was glad that they could attend. I want to talk a little bit about being here in Mentor, what we've done so far this year, some things that we've accomplished already, even though we're only halfway through the year, and some things bigger that we're working on. So this is going to be a little bit different maybe than what you're used to. If you have questions, I'd encourage you to ask them. If you want to wait till the end, please do as well. But I'm going to talk a little bit about where we're at and where we're going. First, I'm proud to represent Mentor Schools as one of the schools in Ohio to be excellent with distinction. It is not, yeah, go ahead. That does not come lightly, and proud under Dr. Hoyne's leadership over the last 7 years that Mentor Schools was excellent or excellent with distinction for 7 out of the last 8 years. But that's really something that we can hold our hat on. We're going to talk about some of the changes that are involved in that report card as well. First of all, to be excellent with distinction, you have to meet 25 or 26 out of the 26 indicators. A lot of those are testing, some of them are graduation requirements, and items like that. Performance index, we had a 104.5. Performance index is based on how well the students do on the tests that they take every year and how high they score. An average range is about 95 to 100, so we're way above that. The highest a district can get is 120, and no one's ever hit 120 yet. But the highest I've seen is 112. So we have a lot to be proud of in terms of academics, and obviously our students, families, and teachers, and administrator and communities are all part of getting this accomplishment. So definitely a team effort. Only school district in Lake County to meet AYP and earn an above status in the value added. Value added is, when we talk about value added, what we're talking about is students' performance every year. So you could be a teacher and have the kids come into your classroom, and value added is looking at adding 1 year's growth to what they score. So you might have kids that already function at a high level, and maybe or maybe not you take them to the next level or give them 1 year's growth. But our teachers and our schools were able to meet that. So can't applaud them enough for their efforts, and that's something that we're looking to sustain. AYP is a federal measure, and we don't have time today to go into that right now. I want to talk about finances for a minute. I mentioned Mr. Dan Wilson. I'm not sure how many of you know this or not, but when we talk about perfect audits, a lot of bankers in here, in this crowd, and auditors and people that manipulate and look at numbers every day. But to get a perfect audit is rare for a school district. To get 2 is unheard of, and I don't know of any other district that's ever had 3 perfect audits in a row. So I think that says a lot about the finances here in the school district in Mentor. Obviously, that's attributed to Mr. Wilson and to his staff working with the board and making changes and recommendations as we go throughout the past several years. I want to talk a little bit about funding cuts before we talk about students and other programs that are going on. This school year alone, we have a reduction of over $10 million in annual lost revenue. We're not alone in that. I just want to give you a little bit of perspective. So we are achieving and maintaining a high rate of performance in our schools. Our students are performing really well. We're doing it with less money. Since 2005, 2006, that revenue loss or funding cuts is nearly $32 million. So this is just the message I want to let you know about your school district. I think Mr. Snee mentioned the levies and taxes and where we're at. We have not asked in Mentor schools for new dollars, new money since 2004. Again, part of my talk here today is to tout our school district, and I'm not sure there's many other districts that could say they haven't asked for new dollars in that amount of time. I believe that initially when that was passed, it was thought to be a 4 or 5 year measure, and we have not had to bring that back to the voters. So as our finances have been depleted, if you will, or at least have been reduced, we've been able to make staffing changes while still providing high quality, if not the best, education. We are forecasting nearly a $30 million, to be $30 million in the red at 2015-2016. So if you see that as we're probably going to need to ask our community for new money in 15, you're probably right, looking at forecasts now, but all dependent on the new budget that should come out in a couple of weeks. We had a levy work session just last week, and if you read the Mentor Patch or the News Herald, we talked about our levy situation, and both news medias covered that. And we are in the process of putting 2 renewal levies on the ballot this May 7th. And let me tell you a little bit about the reasons why. First of all, we have a permanent improvement levy that's coming off the ballot at the end of this calendar year, which generates just over $1 million. So that's money that goes towards our buildings and facilities, and we have 15 total. And then we have a operating levy that is going to come up that is due to expire next calendar year. So we're very cognizant of voter fatigue, like a lot of you are. So we decided as a board and administration to put both measures up as a renewal only, no new money, May 7th. So there'll be 2 separate issues that'll be on the ballot. Once again, the permanent improvement levy, and then an operating levy, and again, no new additional dollars, hoping to sustain the high level that we're at with the same amount of dollars that we have. And again, that previous slide mentions probably going to need to go out at 2015, but again, it's too early to make that call yet. One of the things I've had to have been privileged to serve on is the Business Advisory Council. Some of you in this room are on that, but several of the administrators, a few of us in this room, meet with some business owners in our community talking about our students, our graduates, and your future employees. And so we've had discussions, sessions about what we can do as a school district, and we talk about things that we've done in the past in terms of the calendar and looking at different options for our kids. And we also talk about what we can do and what are the needs of the business. I hear manufacturing a lot. I don't know if Roger Sustar is here, but he is a big proponent of that and getting our kids involved. As an offshoot of the Business Advisory Council, and as a side note, if you're interested in serving, just see me before we leave. I'll hang around for a little bit. But if you want to be part of the Business Advisory Council, please let me know. But as an offshoot, as a discussion with several of you in this room, we're now starting a financial literacy committee for our students. Financial literacy is a requirement that the Ohio Department of Education puts on us to inform our students of being good stewards of their own personal accounts and money. And a lot of the banks and business owners, some of them in the room now, are forming a committee, and I apologize in advance if there's somebody that's been a part that we don't have up here yet. And if you're not on here and you want to be, please let me know before we leave as well. But we're working together to educate our kids on their own personal finances. We already do some of that now, but it's a little bit fragmented. Some of our elementary schools are hearing some of the banks come in and do some presentations, even at the elementary level, but not all. And so we're going to extend that to all of our elementary, 9 elementary schools, so that when the kids go to middle school, they all come to the middle school with the financial background that all the students had in elementary school, and we're going to build up from there. So I appreciate, especially those in the room that serve on this committee as we move forward. School safety. This could be about an hour-and-a-half presentation in light of what happened at Sandy Hook. It's one of the things we take very, very seriously in Mentor schools and always will. But like a lot of things, when from time to time, I don't want to use the word complacent, but sometimes you get complacent and you get comfortable almost. But I think Sandy Hook's going to change all that for all of us. And it's one of the things I've been hearing from some of the parents, that it's good that we're taking steps to make sure that our kids are safe, but we have to keep the hammer down, so to speak, the whole time. One of the things that I was impressed with when I came to Mentor, and it's not like this everywhere, and those of you who have heard me speak or we've had one-on-one conversations, I keep trying to say that it's not like this everywhere. Mentor's really, really a good place to be, and I'm not just saying that. I mean, I already have the job, so I'm not interviewing anymore, but it's not like this anywhere. Those of you who have lived elsewhere, maybe you were born and raised here and went away to college and came back, maybe know what I mean. Those of you who moved to Lake County or to Mentor from somewhere else, maybe know what I mean too, but just for those of you who have been born, raised, and stayed here, it's not like this everywhere. But one of the things I was impressed with when I did my building visits on the first day of school, Mr. Porter and I went, and in every one of our buildings you have to hit a buzzer, there's a camera, and they have to acknowledge you, and then they let you in. Well, I figured out of the 14 classroom type buildings that we have, that 2 or 3 I'm probably just going to be able to open that door and get in, and I couldn't. And this was back in August, I think, so I was impressed by that. Again, I could go to XYZ district in Columbus, and that's probably not going to happen there. It's not to say we don't have things we can improve on, but we took it seriously before Sandy Hook. We're taking it really seriously now. We're doing a few things with encouraging our parents to let the teachers know when they're coming to visit that day, so that the teachers can tell the office this parent's coming in, just so that we're aware of some of these things. And we're expanding some security cameras. We're expanding our protocol and procedures for getting into our buildings, just to help keep our kids safe. Somebody that came to my office almost immediately after Sandy Hook happened is in this audience, Chief Harvey. As soon as it happened, he's over there in the back. He came over from his office just not to tell me what to do or you guys should be doing this. He was just basically saying, what do you need? We're here to help, and how can we make our kids safe? So just like to acknowledge Chief for that, and Chief Knight for the police department did the same as well. So we've been working together, is what I want to say. It was also interesting too, in terms of working with the city folks, the street department, police and fire, we all worked together when we had the big storm a couple weeks ago, or months ago I guess by now, as remnants of Sandy, and it was good to see the partnerships in the room working together. One of our other security protocols is the police and fire department have been in the buildings every single day since we came back from Christmas break. So the kids get used to seeing them in the buildings, and that's been refreshing and a blessing for us. So I applaud the police and fire department for being able to do that and help us out, help our kids stay safe. Feed Lake County, this is another student-led program. I don't know what happened. The kids were supposed to be here today to wave and help with boxes, but for some reason they decided not to come because somebody called off school. But if you are interested in having our students get a box to you and to your company and for your employees to help out with Feed Lake County, there is a clipboard in the back that we have in the back. If you just want to put your business name and a contact number, we'll get a hold of you, we'll get a box to you so you can collect at your office, and then our high school kids will then come and pick it up too. So really you don't have to do too much other than sign your name and promote it in your building. And I believe our high school kids gathered over 10,000 pounds of food last year. So looking to beat that this year. I want to highlight a couple kids in a couple of our programs. This is from ESPN. How many kids can say they were on ESPN? Not many, but we have one. Vishnu was on the spelling bee in Washington, D.C. last year. Was the first student from Mentor Schools to get to Washington, D.C. as part of the spelling bee. So that was him last year. Avi was a national merit, is a national merit semifinalist. We'll find out in a month if he is a finalist. How many schools in the state of Ohio can say they have one Mr. Football or one Mr. Basketball, but I'm not sure any of them could ever say they had both at the same time. We also had our first ever state all-around champion. Kayla was the state champion this past summer, I believe, in gymnastics. And this is our cross-country team. Both boys and girls cross-country teams qualified for state competition. I think that's the first time that's happened in a long time too. So kudos to those kids. Last year, our students at the high school performed Titanic, and I encourage you all to go to our next performance, and that's Legally Blonde. A little different genre. Keep it fresh. And how about our Sparkle cheerleaders? If you have not seen the Sparkle cheerleaders, you really need to get to a basketball game and see them perform. They are fantastic. They're made up of students with special needs who are cheerleaders, and also students at the high school who are cheerleaders. This group was started last year, has doubled in size. This is when they were on Channel 3 performance. They've had us down there twice now. So they do a fantastic job. Their advisors, Heather, is awesome. So we're proud of those girls and boys. The Fighting Cardinal Marching Band got a 1 in state. And if you're not a band person, I was not a band person. I'm a band parent now. I'm going to use my teacher voice. Fighting Cardinal Marching Band got a 1 at state, which is the highest you can get. That's them performing in front of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So they achieved at the highest level that they could get to this year. And also this year we were visited by a sitting president, which was kind of a big deal, I think, for any school. And so I don't care what side of the political fence you're on or the aisle you're on, to have a visit from a sitting president was pretty impressive. That's President Obama signing the Freedom Wall at the high school. We have a wall of freedom that represents a lot of the students that have fought for our country, and so he signed the wall for us when he came in. And one of the other things that I thought that was cool about his visit was when he was in our high school gym, and when he came out, he thanked the people for being there, and he gave a shout out to the Fighting Cardinal Marching Band, which was pretty cool. And he gave a shout out to our football team that had their first playoff game that night. That's pretty cool too. So anything else he said I wasn't really paying attention to, but we'll give him credit for that. So that was pretty neat. Bob Zonneville, how many of you know Bob? There's a few of you. Bob Zonneville is a great ambassador. He is in, I'm not sure how old he is. I know he's in his 80s. We'll go with that. But Bob is a two-time Purple Heart winner. He served in World War II, served his country. He goes to the high school, talks to our social studies classes, and meets with the kids and talks about his life a little bit, but talks more about theirs. Mr. Chad Russo, who's one of our social studies teachers, his class collected money and they got a brick for Bob Zonneville that's going to be at the World War II Museum that's actually in New Orleans. So kudos to Mr. Russo and to his students for putting that together and getting that out there. I want to shift just for a second and talk a little bit about the report card changes. When I talked about how we are excellent with distinction, the state is changing that report card. And so starting this coming August, schools are going to be ranked not by excellent with distinction or excellent or effective or academic watch or academic emergency. We're going to get letter grades, just like our students get letter grades. So schools will be ranked A through F. They're going to use what they call a dashboard model approach, where it's not going to be just, they're going to have one, we think, going to have one overriding grade of A through F, but they'll look at different areas. There'll be 17 different indicators, so 17 different grades, just like a report card. And so we're working on what that's going to look like and showing our community what that looks like. But not only are they changing it, apparently my time was up. That's why it cut out, right?
No,
That's all right.
what's wrong.
That's okay. Thank you. So as the state is changing, not only are they just changing the letter grades, but they're also making changes to the curriculum and standards. So it's going to be really hard to get an A, and so we have to transition that. In fact, 352 districts in the state of Ohio earned excellent or above in 2011. If you use those same schools and districts, only 17 of those 352 would have earned an A when we switch. So that's something we're working on now, getting caught up to speed, but there will be a lot of schools in Ohio that are going to have to work on what I'm calling the implementation dip, that there'll be a little bit of going down before we come back up and work to get that A. So the curriculum department's working on that now. We're trying to get ahead of the curve, but it's one of the changes that's still coming. Third grade reading guarantee. I'm not sure how many of you heard about the third grade reading guarantee, or if you have children that are that young, you probably heard about it, or grandkids, you're going to hear about it. The third grade reading guarantee essentially is a kindergarten, first, second, and third grade assessment. And we're required by the state now, and we started this year, to give students in K1, 2, and 3 a test right when they come into school before September 30th to see where their reading level's at. It's going to include more than reading now. It's changing and evolving, but just wanted to kind of give you the 50,000-foot overview of it. So they have to take a test. Picture this, 5-year-old kindergartner coming into Mentor schools having to take a reading test before September 30th of their first year, and we have to score it. And if they score high enough, then we think that they're okay, and we're going to provide them, we'll just call it regular instruction. If they're not at that standard, we have to provide intervention. We have to send a letter home to the parents saying, your child's behind in reading, and here we only have them for 4 weeks as a 5-year-old, and we're already telling them this. I have a hard time with that as a superintendent. And the letter also has to include, oh, by the way, if they don't improve, there's a chance they could be retained in third grade. Welcome to kindergarten, you know? So that's one of the things we're working on, and our administrative team and teachers and administrators are working on getting up to speed. This is one of those things that's still evolving and changing, and every couple of weeks we get new pieces of information. I mentioned before the academic content standards are changing to the Ohio Common Core. Common Core, I like to think of it as almost national standards, but we're shifting. The academic content standards were from 2002, so we have some work to do in getting up to speed. Let's talk technology really quick, and I know a lot of you have to get out, so I'm going to kind of try to speed it up. But in terms of technology, when I talk about those, you heard Ohio graduation tests, achievement tests, which used to be proficiency tests. We're making some changes. The state is making some changes. In 2 years, our kids aren't going to be taking tests paper, pencil anymore. They're going to be taking them online. They're going to be taking them in a virtual format. So we are working in mentor schools to get our kids ready for those tests so that the first time they have to take it online, it's not the first time they've seen it in that format. So we're working now to get up to speed in terms of technology. And it's not going to be just taking a paper pencil test and putting it on a computer where you just point and click the bubbles. It's not going to be like that at all. It's going to be all in a virtual format. Some of it's going to be game-based, a lot different than what we were used to when we were kids. But not so much different than what these kids are used to now. What you see here is a picture from Ridge Middle School. Tom Dwyer is the teacher, and he is one of our quote-unquote rock star tech teachers in a classroom. And he has a pilot going with a flip the classroom model. And he's working with some kids now on some Google Chromebooks the IT department was able to get for us as we're starting to roll out, getting our kids ready for the new tests and new assessments that are coming. Here's one of our classrooms too. They're using iPads. Here's 2 students working together on one of the Google Chromebooks. Again, the Chromebooks came to us. We purchased the classroom set of the Google Chromebooks, but we also have some loaners that Google is letting us try out, see which ones are the best ones for our kids. There's Mr. Dwyer again. You're going to see more classrooms look like this than what probably someone standing in front of a crowd like I am now when you go into a classroom. So they're working on a project together now. We're also exploring using Google Docs and using Google Apps for Education. That's one of the other initiatives we're working on now. And people ask about, well, what devices are we going to get for our kids? First of all, we're going to have to get devices because of these new tests that are required. So we're going to have the capacity and the hardware to get that done. So this picture shows Google Chromebooks, an iMac, and an iPad. To me, it's not so much what device, it's just what's the best device that we can get for our kids in terms of getting out to the internet and having the capacity to do everything. One of the most frustrating things would be to invest a lot of money into something that doesn't work. So we are piloting several different options. The technology department has set up some sessions for us for our school to investigate what are going to be the best options for mentor schools. We had a meeting last week with Google. We have a meeting tomorrow with representatives from Apple, and we have Dell coming in too. And so we're taking a look. We're also going to be making visits to other schools to see what they're doing. And there aren't a lot out there that have what I think we're going to need here in Mentor. With those computers, and Mr. Snee mentioned it in his remarks too, blended learning is sort of going to be one of the new education buzzwords. And I'm going to be very honest with you, I don't think blended learning is something for all kids, but it is something for some of our kids. And what I mean by blended learning is you're going to see it evolve and change. So aside from traditional instruction with a classroom and a teacher, you're still going to have traditional instruction, but it's also going to be part-time computer-based learning and project-based learning. So kids will be working in teams too. And a lot of what this model is showing you is what the colleges are doing now. And so I want our kids to have a taste of this before they graduate from Mentor High School. I think for a certain track of students, I could see them starting at the middle school level and being in a blended learning environment all the way through. Again, not for every student, but I think it's an opportunity for some of our kids who this would really tap into to really succeed. So it's one of the projects per se that we're working on. Okay, finishing with technology. You can find us at a couple places on Facebook and on Twitter. We have a lot of announcements that go out through these vehicles. So you can check that out. I also have a superintendent Twitter page at MentorSuper. And a lot of the high school kids last night were sending me suggestions about what to do today. Seriously. That's my last slide. So with that, I would like to open it up, and if anybody has questions on anything I presented or anything I didn't present, go ahead. Come on, don't be this good to me. Yes?
I'll just say I think it's awesome that you're introducing personal finance to the students, and to learn how to do a family budget and manage things like mortgages and stuff, because the banks were out of whack, but people also signed up for those loans.
Yeah. And
they should know. You got to know that you can pay it back.
right. And how many of us signed up for that free T-shirt when we got in college that we're paying for now, But, I appreciate that, and that really came from the business advisory suggestion. We do some of that. We've always done some of that, I think, in the district, but we're trying to make it more of a coordinated effort, so we're hitting the kids at the elementary level, middle level, and high school level.
But I think it's fabulous.
Good, thank you. Other questions? Oh, go ahead.
What is the greatest challenge of Mentor Public Schools for this next year, financially, academically, or socially?
Financially, it's going to be renewing the 2 levies on May 7th. If we don't pass, then we're in a world of hurt, especially with all the changes and things that we have to do. I think that's one of our biggest challenges. Academic challenge is going to be going from the excellent with distinction report card to the A through F report card and keeping that high level. I don't think we would be one of those 17 schools right now. So we need to figure out, we would be a B district. So we need to figure out what we need to do to be an A district, because I don't want to be second in anything when it comes to our kids.
Right.
Okay. Socially, teaching kids about digital media. When they get on Twitter and send me messages, usually they're pretty good, but I respond to them, and sometimes I see some of their stuff, and I know colleges and employers can see some of that too, so I always tell them they need to clean that up.
Very interesting.
So, somebody had something over here. I thought I heard something. Yes, sir.
I wasn't going to leave until Doug Foley asked you a question.
You can go. You're dismissed now. Anybody else?
Collins.
Okay. Oh, yes, sir.
How are you and your family enjoying Mentor?
Honestly, it's been, and again, I already got the job, so I'm not vying for it. It's been a very, very good move for the family. I couldn't get my junior to come here today, but imagine that. He's 16, he doesn't want to be here. He's studying, that's right, they have finals. You might believe that. No, but honestly, it's a really good place to be, and if you've not been anywhere else, you don't know how good it is here sometimes, but the community's been really good to me. I feel blessed, and I'm working with a lot of good people, so that makes it a lot easier. Thanks. Yes, sir.
What's your biggest surprise coming to the district?
Trying to learn names has been a big surprise. No, I think just meeting people. Biggest surprise, I don't know if I've been surprised or not in terms of it in a bad way. There are things I'm not sure why we've done it this way or done it that way, and things like that. I'm gonna kind of revert back to this. Maybe I'm surprised that people don't realize how good it is here. Honestly, it is. So, and I keep saying that, but it'll sink in eventually. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I just want to mention, I know that Mentor has an excellent program for your traditional K through 12, but Mentor also is a host school for a lot of technical programs. And speaking for the interactive media, it's a phenomenal program.
It is. I don't know if everybody heard his comment, but aside from just the traditional K-12, Mentor has a lot to offer in terms of the technical side of things. I think both with on the computer side, but also with our career tech side too. We do offer a lot of programs for kids, and that's kind of one of the things we've talked about as a board and as administrators is I want to be able to offer what our kids want. So if we don't have something, we'll find a way for them to take a class. Don't want them to have to go outside to do that. So, anything else? Anybody else? I will stick around for a few minutes afterwards, but I appreciate your time and coming out and for being here. So thank you. Oh, real quick, forgot this too. We are proud of that Excellent with Distinction tag. We have some posters in the back. If you'd like to hang one up on at your business, that would be awesome to see when we're out and about at stores, restaurants, and other businesses too. So feel free to take one or a handful and hang those up. So thank you.